You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey all, welcome to episode 6 of Cards to the Moon. I'm Clark, and joining me again is Hyung and John to talk about sports cards for the next little while. What's up, guys?
What's up, fellas?
What's happening?
Good. All right, I think we can just move right along to hobby headlines, because there's a couple of things I want to talk about today. First, I'm not sure if you heard the recent news of a major investment made by Roc Nation, which is, of course, Jay-Z's company.
Yes.
But they invested $500 million US in, quote, Blackstone's majority stake acquisition in Certified Collectibles Group, or CCG. Now, if you haven't heard of CCG, it's a company that focuses on authenticating collectibles. So that's coins, posters, and of course, trading cards and comic books. And I actually think they're primarily known for grading comic books, but they do grade trading cards and sports cards as well with their CSG slabs. So I'm sure some of our listeners have seen those on eBay. So yeah, I want to get your thoughts. What do you guys think about Jay-Z getting into the game? You know, is it good for the hobby? Is it bad for the hobby? Or is it just whatever?
I think anytime you could get $500 million into the hobby, it could be a good thing, especially someone of that kind of like stature. You know, sure. I think any, publicity is great, but as you can see, that could cause some, issues too with, the volatility, like the hype where people get worried about like, the marketing portion of pumping and dumping and whatnot. But I think there's a legit room for, more grading companies. Because if you look at like, the inconsistencies of like PSA, like the fact that, artificial intelligence or, robotics aren't grading, on a consistent basis. There's so many, loose variables, I guess. Right. So anytime like a big player in the game comes in like that, I'm all for it if it's going to better the market. But we'll see. With any type of hype, obviously, there's pros and cons to it. But I don't think it's bad news. I think it's potentially what the hobby needs, right? Especially in this kind of like downtime with the hobby. So I don't mind it.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed. I think during a down market, this is the type of news and buzz that the market needs. And for me, it just comes down to consumer confidence, right? Like anytime the market sees that a big player is coming in, it's like Jay-Z, some big names in pop culture that are coming into the hobby. It just gives people that consumer confidence. And I think that's what's really missing right now is people, everyone's kind of waiting on the sidelines, really scared to hold on to the bag, really scared to lose money. The confidence is low right now. Like I think people are very interested to continue spending, very interested in collecting more, but just the confidence is not there. So I think this is a great spark plug. I think anytime, like Hyung said, anytime money is pumped into the hobby. Now we don't know whether this money is going towards like Jay-Z and their investment group, like dominating the comic book sector, or if this is to kind of pump up CSG's attempt at sports cards. But regardless, the news and the buzz is primarily around sports cards. This is not a comic book buzz. This is a sports card buzz. So I think that any news, any publicity is good news, and I'm all for it. I think it's great news.
Yeah, I could see that too, for sure. Yeah, in my opinion, is very similar, right? Like if you have someone like Jay-Z and his company Roc Nation investing that much money, for me, the bigger picture is just bringing the hobby even more mainstream culture, right? Like how can you get more mainstream than someone like Jay-Z?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
I think the attention, like you guys mentioned, the attention that it brings to the hobby is always a good thing. Increased competition is always a good thing, in my opinion. And yeah, you know what? Hopefully, like I've seen the CSG slabs, they're pretty ugly. So hopefully $500 million, $500 million will help with their grading sports card side of the business. So we'll see. But optimistic, hopeful, and yeah, I guess it's time will tell, right?
Yeah, we'll see if a big name can help CSG's branding, right, in the sports card sector. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. I just want to kind of start with that because it's when we're airing this episode, we just heard about the news, so it's good to kind of get quick feedback from you guys. The second deep dive subject for this episode, and the one we were initially going to start with until we heard the Roc Nation news, is something we actually don't talk about much, but I believe there's investment value to be had, and that's in non-rookie cards. You know, we talk rookie cards probably 90 to 95% of the time, because historically in the hobby, that's where you get the most value or ROI, right? But I feel like as more product comes out and more collectors come into the game, there are some non-rookie cards out there that can end up being, in my opinion, a great collectible that appreciates in value. So I want to ask you guys, first, do you agree? And second, do you have any non-rookie cards that you think would make a good investment?
Well, you know me. I'm gonna say the rookie cups. You know, I'm all about, you know, second year cards. I was always a fan of them just because I grew up in that, like, the late 80s kind of era where, you know, that Topps rookie cup, if you have that, that's like, you know, you got someone, you know, special, right? So yeah, I personally like second year cards because especially on players that kind of don't have a lot of rookie cards, right? So particularly like when I think baseball, you know, you got your, you know, Tatis and Vlads, they have like a lot of rookie cards, and then someone like a Juan Soto, they really don't have many, right? So I see over time extreme value in like a second year, like Juan Soto, that kind of like horizontal image card, his Topps card. I believe that like as Juan Soto progresses in his career, you know, something like that could really be a very valuable collector's item. Especially with the limited run on kind of his rookie cards, right? So I'm a big fan on kind of like second year cards, rookie cups, and I also believe, like, you know, if you're a true fan of the game, like I'm a huge Acuna, Tatis, you know, collector, so I want to, you know, probably get any cards that I could possibly get of them, right? And maybe complete like a whole, you know, like a rainbow or whatever it might be, you know, in a particular card. So it might not be the rookie set, right? So I also seen on a guy on Facebook, which I thought was cool. He started like a Luka Doncic silver collection, or like a silver prism collection, right? So he obviously had a PSA 10 in the rookie 2018. And then he had 2019, and then he's going to kind of and then continue that trend, you know, second year card, and then and if you think about it, you do that to LeBron or somebody, you know, and you've been doing it for the past 15 years, you know, that's a pretty cool outcome, you know. I bet you 10, 15 years if that player becomes, you know, somebody special. So I really like it just from a collector's standpoint. I think long term, you have extreme value because everybody's chasing the rookie cards, right? So I think as long as you're not, you know, putting your money on the Margaux or, you know, anything like that, right? I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
When you say rookie cups, like that's player's second year card, or I'm not.
Yeah, usually Topps. Well, sometimes it depends when the players' cards were released. Like for instance, you have like Alex Bregman or Jordan Alvarez. Like they missed their rookie card that year because they were kind of like a late addition, but they had a full season under their belt where they, you know, were pretty much an all-star rookie, they call it, or whatever, and they end up, you know, becoming kind of like recognized. So you have like Jordan Alvarez will have that rookie cup plus a rookie card, you know, logo or whatever it is, right? So
okay, cool. I like that idea too of the collecting one player just throughout their career.
Yeah,
and, you know,
I think that's so badass. Yeah.
The only downside is it could get super expensive if you're doing it for Luka.
But that's the thing. It's like as like who's right now gonna want like a 2021 like Luka Prism silver,
sure,
right?
Sure.
I'm sure you could get it for like a couple $100 in PSA 10, right? And then you keep on stacking that every year because everybody's like chasing after the rookie, right? And then you kind of I don't know. I thought it was cool. Because when you seen it like side by side, I'm like envisioning it. I'm like, hey, he's onto something here. I might start that with like maybe a numbered card, right?
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Wilson from Sports Card Collector, he has the LeBron Topps Chrome refractor set. Like he got every refractor from the rookie card on. It's pretty cool, man. I think he's gonna try to attempt the Kobe. I'm not sure. That was I think when he was at the Dallas Card Show, he was kind of entertaining the idea. But yeah, like good point, Hyung. Like that's like if you just think about Kobe or LeBron, super valuable, right? And he was even mentioning he suspects he might be one of, if not the only one, to have the entire LeBron refractor chrome set, right? Because some of those refractors are like pop 15 or something ridiculous,
rare,
right? Yeah.
And to have it in a set, that's crazy. That's a crazy collector's piece. Like to me, you could just sell that as a whole, right? And that's you that built and spent that time and energy the past, whatever, how many years, right? That's a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely an underrated play. Like it could become something. Yeah, absolutely.
Set collecting, for sure, is like a lost art. We should bring it back.
That's what it was all about. You actually legit tried. And when I got back into the hobby, I actually started doing it. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is a waste of time. But like, because times have changed, right? You kind of do it for the money.
So many out there,
right? And then you're just like, what am I doing? I could buy these singles for like 25 cents and just build the set, or buy a complete set now, right?
Yeah, I'm you know what? Like, I'm gonna go down the more the modern era, because I think everybody's sort of into thinking about the modern. But if it's not gonna be rookie cards, I think chasing iconic players and/or like star legend guys who are on their way to becoming Hall of Famers, and tying them with iconic parallel cards. So like you've got your like Choice Tiger. You've got Select Zebra, you've got Select Tie-Dye. So these sort of parallel, super rare sets or parallel cards are becoming very popular. And I think when you tie in both iconic player with an iconic set, even something, it doesn't even have to be like a super rare parallel, but like we talked about it last week, 2012 Prism, the first Prism, right? So even tying iconic players to iconic sets, I think is super valuable. I think there's a great play there. And I think that those are the instances I think where this is beyond just the rookie cards. This is this is like Hyung said, collector's piece. Collectors love to collect certain things and certain items, and I think this is where I'm about linking the two together. The iconic player with an iconic set, whether it's a set or a parallel set, I think is a good play.
For sure. Do you have a player in mind when you talk about that?
I think for now you're looking at like current players, because I'm not really into the legendary Hall of Famers that are in modern sets that aren't in the league. Like I feel like they're just adding the player to add to the set. Like if you see like Magic Johnson Prism, like I'm not really into that stuff.
You're like, dang it. It's a waste of a silver.
But even like like obviously Luka would be super expensive, but Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Tie-Dye, Zebra, Tiger. I think all of those could be great plays for the future, right? Because some people might not think of it. It's super low pop, it's super low print, and it could become a really good collector piece in the future, right?
Yeah, good point.
Sure.
Yeah, those are two good choices, two great choices. For me, I was thinking about cards that can be iconic. And what I mean by that is like just looking at the artwork, or, like I think sometimes we don't look at the art or appreciate sports cards as art as much, these days. Right. So a couple of cards that come to mind are like the 2008 Topps Chrome LeBron. The one where he's storing the chalk in the air.
Yeah. Iconic.
It's an amazing card. Card. And it's low pop, relatively speaking, in a PSA 10. And if you're in the market for one, like right now is a good time because everything is down. And I feel like those cards can really pick up quickly, and, everyone, like you mentioned, Hyung, everyone talks everyone's looking for the rookie card, but these cards I think will, get their share of attention in the future.
Right.
I think you mentioned this, John, in a previous episode, but again, with the 2008 Topps Chrome, thinking about it, the 2008 Topps Chrome was ridiculous.
So
good.
good.
Some great iconic
good.
cards, but the LeBron I was talking about, that's number 23, which happens to be his number.
Yeah.
And number 24, I believe, was the Kobe and LeBron on the same card.
Yes.
That's sick. Yeah. Iconic.
Yeah, iconic
yeah.
as well. So imagine you're collecting that set, eh? Like
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing. But those cards are non-rookie cards, and I can see them not depreciating in value that much now, and actually increasing in the future.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the other thing I was thinking of was these subsets. If we're looking at modern cards, like the stained glass, I think look amazing.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of stained glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like basketball, like the basketball insert market is a lot more. I guess a lot more people like to collect inserts rather than baseball, right? But I think inserts are also a great, like you said, the mosaic or stained glass, stuff like that is a great alternative.
Yeah,
Kaboom
I think,
is sick.
Yeah, I think these companies are onto something when they're doing these case hits, like super collectible. Kaboom, stained glass, color blast. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So
I think
good.
if they keep it limited, like people will go after the insert again.
For
I think
sure.
the collection of like insert. I remember I used to collect inserts too. Like it was a thing, right? It was more of a collection. It's like building your collection too. Kind of like that same concept. It's like nobody really does. Nobody collects inserts anymore, and then they have parallels on inserts now and stuff like that. So I think those are, if they make it kind of like more scarce. I think insert collecting would come back hot. No, it already is, right? So
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Like there are some inserts that are just garbage. It's just like
it's terrible.
The companies are just trying to fill the packs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the premium inserts, the ones that like year after year they come out with it, like the Color Blast, the Kabooms. What's the other one I was thinking about? The
downtown.
Downtown.
Downtowns are
amazing.
for
So
sure.
good. There's some decent ones that aren't case hits. Like I really like the Marvels series.
Yeah,
Like,
Marvels
I
are
think
cool.
I think they're pretty. They're not difficult to get at all, but I love those, man. It's just so unique the way they match up different pop culture references. Like I love that stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the NBA Hoops magazine covers. That was the NBA Hoops.
NBA hoops, that's so cool. I like
the
love
magazine magazine covers. Yeah, they did a good job with that. Yeah, for sure. And they, you know what, they were actually, when on release, they were really, really hot. Like people were selling those. Everybody wanted them.
Kobe,
right?
the Kobe was crazy. So expensive.
The Kobe went nuts. Yeah.
I still want the Kawhi at some point, but yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like it's really dependent on scarcity. So they got to be either case hits or even like what I read somewhere with the NBA Hoops, like the magazine covers, it's hard to get graded in gem mint because of the black border or whatnot. So that could give it that level of scarcity and collectability.
Totally.
So things like that matter in collecting non-rookie cards.
Yeah. And Hyung mentioned last week, or was it a couple of weeks ago, but how autos could be really underrated, right? Like that's another.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, autos are so underrated. They're like, people are like, no, he signed it. It's like, that's what you want. Like, people are like, well, I'd rather not the sticker auto. It's like, what?
Right.
Like a Tatum silver prism shouldn't sell like near the auto. The pop on the auto is way lower. You have an auto on it. Right. It's like there's no reason why it should sell remotely close to each other, right? So I don't know. That's hobby logic.
I was just gonna say that is 100%
You
hobby logic.
You just need a button. We need to get a button where you just press, hobby logic. You can come up with that, right? You're good with that stuff.
That's a good idea. Anytime in any of our future episodes where we talk about something that fits under the definition of hobby logic, I'll just add a sound effect in post.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice. All right, cool. I thought this was hopefully helpful for listeners. Like, it's not just about rookie cards in the hobby. Like, there are some interesting cards out there that definitely people should start collecting. And even if it's for your own personal collection, that's what makes collecting fun.
Yeah.
So, all All right, moving on. It's my turn to lead our top 5 segment. So for new listeners, this is where one of us comes up with a list of our top 5 cards for any player we choose, and the other guys will weigh in afterwards. So Hyung kicked things off, with his top 5 Fernando Tatis cards in episode 3, which you guys can go listen to. And John, you presented your top 5 Kobe cards in episode 4. So today I'm going to go through my top 5 cards for Trae Young. And I promise I won't talk about Trae anymore after this. Because
I was like, I could have told you that was coming.
I feel like I bring him up every week, but now that the Hawks are out, I promise I'll lay off after this
the
top 5
juice has died.
All right, so I just stuck with his top 5 rookie cards to make things a bit easier for me. So that's the context of my top 5. And number 1, I'm going to go with 2018 Panini Prism. Obviously, that's super popular. Yep. Go for the silver at the very least, but any numbered color refractor is even better, of course. Right. And I think it'll hold long-term value. And you know what? Because it's so liquid, it'll be easy enough to move whenever you want it to sell. Right. So the Panini Prism 2018 is my number 1. Close second, we talk about it all the time, is the Panini Select rookie cards that he has.
Card. Yep.
Believe it or not, like I personally like the look of his concourse cards better than his courtside.
Yeah,
100%.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Just a better
100%.
shot of him.
Yeah, it's such a great card. Yeah,
I love for Trae in particular, for Atlanta Hawks players in particular, the red prisms. They just kind of pop, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously the court side will command a larger premium because of more of its scarcity, but yeah, definitely don't discount his cheaper concourse cards because it's pretty sweet. All right, number 3, I love Donruss Optic rookie cards for basketball players, right? In general. So I'm gonna add his Optic rookie as my number 3. I love that it has plenty of parallels to collect, and again, the numbered red prism is pretty hot. And you can also get an on-card auto Optic card as well of Trae in this set. And it's the same design as the non-autos, but yeah, the autos, for me, make it that much more special. All right, number 4. I mentioned this card before because I have it personally, but his Panini Chronicles Origins autograph card,
nice.
Numbers in 99. Super underrated, in my opinion. Right. It's got a clean look, on-card auto, numbered, and it's cheap. Like, it's affordable, even now.
Sure. I don't think I've ever seen it. You're going to have to show it to me. I don't even know.
I'll show it to you for sure. Yeah. And like the Origins auto like set for other basketball players, and even for football, they have it for football as well. I don't know. There's just people, hobby logic.
Hobby logic.
Right
yeah. Great long term. Yeah.
But all of those sets within Chronicles, I don't know if a lot of people know what Chronicles is all about, but pre-Chronicles, I think Panini had a whole bunch of sets that they sold at retail, and a lot of them flopped, and Chronicles is basically just combining all of them into one gigantic set.
Hoping for a prism.
Yeah, exactly. But now that cards have taken off in 2020 and 2021, Origins and all of these sets are now finally coming back as single products, right? So I think there is opportunity here, because I think during the Trae Luka year, Chronicles was looked at sort of trash, garbage, right? Yeah. But as some of these individual sets become popular and maybe even iconic, you could go back now, and that Chronicles set just holds so much more value, right?
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
And last, I was going to put Trae's National Treasures RPA here, but and like if you look at the patches, they're really, really amazing.
Yeah, with that lime
multicolor. But for the same reason, John, why you didn't include any of the Kobe's ultra high end cards in your top 5, it's just because not many collectors would be able to afford it, right? So I want to include a card in my top 5 that was more accessible, and that's the Panini Contenders Rookie Ticket autograph card. Again, on card auto. If you're not getting my point now, like autographs for basketball cards, totally underrated. You should totally go for it now. I actually like the ticket stub design. I don't know. I know it's not for everyone, but I like the idea that's consistent year after year. Like Panini Contenders, you know exactly what you're going to get. And again, it has a lot of different parallels. Like if you look at the cracked ice parallel, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's
got a couple of variation images as well for people that like to collect variations. But yeah, that's it. Notice I didn't cheat like you guys. I stuck with top 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say you stuck to the rules, but yeah, no, Clark, I agree. Like you've hit it on the nail. For me, it's Prism is your go-to. I think when we look back at this, because Luka's card, that set's just iconic, right? Like just because Luka's image, that kind of design, and Trae kind of fits into that. I really like actually Trae's Prism, and usually I'm not a Prism like fan. I do like Luka's Prism as well, but you know me, I'm a Select. Like Select is the most underrated, basketball set, and I'll keep buying Select, till the day I die, because I will take Select over Optic as well. Yeah. But I think even Trae's Concourse, that's the card to get if you're on a budget, because I think that card is one of his best looking cards. Some of his parallels, I have the silver that I picked up, and although the court side is more kind of I guess has a better supply demand kind of appetite, I think you're right. I think the Concourse is a great buy. You're not going to blow the wallet, but you're going to get a really low pop card. Even in the silver. So I think those are my two with Trae, but I agree. You did a good job with kind of like sticking with the affordable, realistic kind of like rookie cards, right? And that's what we have to always remember, like nobody has, $50,000 to drop on an RPA, it's just not realistic. So
yeah, I agree. I think 1, 2, 3, it's pretty unanimous. Although, man, I don't know what's going on with Optic, but I feel like with a lot of new investors, Optic is taking a humongous hit. But yeah, I mean, across the board amongst collectors, people generally know 1, 2, 3 is Prism, Select, and Optic. It was Prism, Optic, Select, but I feel like I think Select has kind of taken another step. I'm gonna throw in 1, and I think 1, 2, 3 is cool. But in terms of Chronicles, I feel like Obsidian is making a huge comeback. Like the football Obsidian this year was super popular. The soccer Obsidian was like through the roof.
It's a high end set.
I feel like Obsidian.
It's a high end set. So if you think about it, there's a lot of value because it doesn't resell well, but it's a high end set. Right? Kind of like Transcendent kind of. Obsidian's like, I remember it was like $1,000 a hobby box, right? So it's like if you're brave, you know what I mean? So it's like it's good value, I think.
And I think the thing is when you look at the new Obsidian that's come out, and it's a little bit high end, super popular, and then you go back to Chronicles 2018, the graphics on the Obsidian, the way the Obsidian card looks, it actually looks pretty similar. So I think people are going to still gravitate because it still looks like what is popular right now. And you go back to the Luka year, and it looks the same.
Yeah.
So I think that really has potential. I mean, even Luka alone, I've been following a lot of Luka PSA 10s, and his Optic goes for like 325, 350. His Select started to kind of creep towards 350, under 400. His Obsidian, I mean, okay. Also, it's pretty low pop. A lot of these Chronicle sets, because they're individual, and I'm not sure how many people have graded them, but the Obsidian still goes for pretty consistently, like around 550, 600. We're talking Chronicles paper, right? So, I think Obsidian is pretty underrated. I think it looks like it's kind of making a comeback. So I wanted to just throw that one in there for the people listening. Yeah,
it's a good one. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Like with Trae and with like modern day cards, there's so many to select from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's all these subsets. Like,
100%.
If I wanted to cheat, I would have said, here are my honorable mentions, like the Panini Noir, the Opulence Nouveau Riche cards. Like
Core Kings, Crown Royale. You could. The list goes on.
That just shows you, you're a collector. You're a collector first.
Right.
You just want to list all of them in, right?
Love it. All right, cool. So that's my top 5. Hyung, you're up next, so we'll think about which one you can do in our future.
I'll pick 5, like for real, 5, legit 5.
Yeah. I'm not gonna cheat next time. I promise. I swear.
By picking more than 5, it's just like there's less room for debate. You're like, oh, you included this card
true.
as well.
So true.
All right.
So true.
Okay, awesome. Our last segment of this episode is pick one. And this time, instead of me choosing all 3 pairs myself, we each chose one pair of athletes to pit against one another, but we'll all decide which player from each pair we'd rather invest in. All right. So, Hyung, why don't you start us off? Which pair did you choose for us to debate over?
I went with Bichette versus Devers.
Good one.
Because this is I actually want to know this because I think Devers is such an underrated player. Mm-hmm. But I also like Bo's kind of like potential as well. And Bo's prices actually are pretty strong compared to Devers, for what they've accomplished. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
I'm in agreement. I think Devers is super underrated. I'm going to still pick Bichette for number one reason. We're all from Toronto. We're a bunch of homers. Got to take Bichette. We all think he's a stud. Number 2, I feel like even outside of Toronto, so many people love Bichette. I think he's high on the list of what collectors feel. And he's not having like a monster season, and his card prices are still very, very strong. So I feel like people are just waiting and still collecting his cards and just waiting for him to pop off, which kind of signifies to me, even though his card prices are pretty high and pretty strong, the ceiling could be huge once this kid kind of like really takes off. So aside from the homer thing, I'm still with Bichette. I think people are literally sitting and waiting to see this kid pop off. And everyone's still excited about him. Like the hype hasn't really died down. People haven't bailed on him. People don't think he just is sucking all of a sudden, not living up to the hype. I think everybody's super whoever's in Bichette, and there's a lot of people in it. They're super invested in it, and they wholeheartedly believe. So I think for that reason, I think Bichette has still a huge ceiling in terms of his career and card value. So I'm going to go with Bichette.
Nice. Yeah, this was a hard one because you guys know I bought a Rafael Devers rookie card before the season started. Because
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
No, I did. Yeah, because I love guys that in their second or third year, it's a kind of their down year, right. But you can tell they still have the tools to just turn it on, and
for sure.
And Devers was one of those guys. He could easily do 3,100 easily, right? Yeah. And playing in Fenway, and I love that he plays for Boston, but yeah, like. I'm going to go with Bichette as well. And it's a homer pick, but, well, it's not just a homer pick, but, if you look at his swing, it's so smooth. His hands are so quick. He generates power so quickly. His talent is undeniable. And I think he just plays for a more exciting team. It's hard to,
right.
I can't believe I'm saying that the Blue Jays are more fun to watch than the Boston Red Sox. The Jays are fun to watch now. Obviously, Vladdy helps. Obviously, the young core helps, right? But and now like Boston's like, I don't know, like actually Boston's a huge surprise, right? I think most of us were thinking Boston wouldn't do that well, but they're doing. Are they in first? I don't even know.
They are, I believe. Yeah, they're always gonna compete. They have players, and they have like guys like Xander Bogaerts, like guys that are so underrated. That are gonna perform.
Another underrated.
So many
guys.
Absolutely.
But I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just a young core from the Jays that they generate more buzz on and off the field, and if there was a tiebreaker, you got to go with Bichette's hair. So that's,
flow. You got to go with the flow.
But I'm going to go with Bichette, and I agree with Johnny's points too. Like, it hasn't gone down much, whereas Devers, I bought it cheap, but if I waited even a month or two afterwards, I could have bought it cheaper.
Right.
Whereas Bichette's pretty consistent, even though he's not hitting as well as we hope. Like, he's not doing poorly, but we know he can do a lot better.
All right. No, and that's the crazy part about Bichette. And I'm gonna go with the sweep, even though I thought it was gonna be more competitive, because I believe like Devers deserves a lot more than kind of like, and with his prices, like low, it's like, hey, this is a good buy. It's not a bad buy. It's like, would you want to buy Bichette at kind of like a higher price? And that's the kind of angle I was taking. But yeah, Bichette for me is just, has a lot more market value. Just a lot more people in the market for him. He's a fan favorite. Like, if you're to, I see Bichette as kind of like, if you're just a casual MLB fan, going to a game, you're gonna eventually know Bo Bichette. I don't think you're gonna be looking for Rafael Devers, to be honest, right? And that's big for me in terms of investing, but not only investing, I think Bo Bichette, being a son, I grew up watching Dante Bichette, and I grew up watching Vladimir Guerrero Sr. So it's like, it's so cool to see these kids, and I got to see Bo actually, through the minor leagues as well, and I got to see him. He was he played against us actually. Or every spring we got to go to play the Jays and in a spring training game, right? And so our junior national team players would get to throw, and it would be on TV too, which is awesome, right? For these kids. But I remember we had this guy Landon Leach. He's with the Minnesota Twins, and he was like a probably 17, 18-year-old kid, throwing 94, 95, and he threw and this is before Bichette was in the big leagues, because this was probably 2018 or 2019. Sorry, this would have been 2017, back in 2017, and I believe Landon Leach was throwing like probably 94, 95, and he threw one at like Bichette's, like, I would say at his eyes almost, and he literally, I don't know how he hit that. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen, because it was literally at his eyes in the mid 90s, and as he was probably in single A at the time, and he just turned on that, and it literally was like 110 mile an hour, like laser off the wall, right? So after that, I was like a huge fan. I'm like, when is this guy gonna make the show, right? He's gonna make the show. Everybody's like, this guy's undersized. Like, you sure he's I'm like, no, trust me, this guy's legit. Like, I've seen this guy play, and it's just fun watching him to see where he is now, and doing what he's doing at 22, I think 22, 23 years old. And not only that, like, we think that it's a down year. We just haven't seen a hot streak from Bichette, but he's still putting up 285, 14 home runs, and just last week he was named an All-Star as a reserve. Yeah. True. And same with Devers on the flip side, but like, this is huge for a 22-year-old kid. Overall, Bichette for me, like, is I'm a huge fan, and that's the only reason why I would pick Bichette over Devers, is because truly, from like, forget the investment standpoint, it's like watching Toronto, being from Toronto, having a red Topps Chrome red wave refractor of Bo Bichette as well helps the cause. But nice. For me, it's a Bichette no-brainer. And I guess I didn't have to spill all that story to tell that Bichette was a clean sweep, but yeah, I mean, for me, that's what I felt.
No, we love those stories, man.
No, I love it. All right, cool. That was a good one. Johnny, what's yours?
All right, man. I'm going to go with the super hype train, because everybody loves it. We're going to go Rookie of the Years, LaMelo Ball versus Justin Herbert. I think they're the two hottest names in sports card collecting right now. First year rookies, both cards just flying to the moon. So I'm gonna go with those two. Let me know what your guys' thoughts.
You want me to go, Clark? Okay, I'll go Melo. For me, he's so impressive. Like, I maybe it's just I like basketball more than football, but to me, it's just like I really enjoyed watching him play. Like, I tuned in every game he was playing, and just watch what he did as such a young kid, and I just like the future. Obviously, I'm not paying today's prices. He's definitely an off-season pick for me, but Melo over Herbert for me for sure.
Yeah, no, I like this because it's probably our first cross-sport pick one pair, so definitely made me think. But yeah, I think my inherent basketball bias is going to come into play here, so I'm going to choose LaMelo as well. I know for American friends, football is huge, but basketball is international. I think there's a bigger market for LaMelo cards, and yeah, it's just exciting to watch. Like I mentioned in a previous episode, I was dead wrong about LaMelo. I thought he was just super hyped, and you're gonna lose your money on it. And yeah, like he's playing like he's not a rookie. He's very comfortable on the court there. And other than the Panini Prism rookie card that came out with LaMelo, it's I don't know why they picked that picture. In my opinion, it's a boring shot of him. But I think in terms of value, even though his prices are high now, it has room to grow. And he's, I believe in the talent. And I mentioned, I think in last week's episode, that with Justin Herbert, I think he was part of our Fast Five. While I only invest in quarterbacks when I do buy football cards, like anything could happen, right? With in terms of injuries, a higher risk. So if I'm going to buy a Justin Herbert, or if I'm going to buy a QB or any NFL player, really, I'm looking at short-term flips. But I tend to like holding on to cards and flipping them a year, more longer term. So LaMelo for me.
Man, I thought this would have been a lot tougher when I posed the question, but it's going to be, again, it's kind of boring, but it's going to be a clean sweep. This was actually really difficult for me because I think in terms of the two guys and their ceilings within the respective sports, I think Herbert has the better chance to become a number one in the league, like a way bigger iconic player than LaMelo Ball. I think LaMelo's special, but I think Herbert has that chance to be on that high end scale. Like we're talking Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Like he has that ceiling. So for that reason, I like Herbert. But I think Herbert cards for that reason too are just so super high right now. And when you look at Kyler Murray, you look at Lamar Jackson, these guys that are following up these like incredible rookie campaigns, like their cards just went down because it's just so hard to live up to that amazing performance that they did in their rookie year. So I think Herbert has a lot to come down. And I think my second reason why I'm going with LaMelo is exactly like what you pointed out, Clark. The lifespan of a NFL player, you just don't know, right? These guys could be the next biggest thing, and he's snapped both ACLs and he's done for the year, and he just doesn't come back the same. So I think longevity wise, safe, when you're safely putting your money, and you have to assume anybody buying LaMelo or buying Herbert is spending a lot of money, because even their base is a lot of money. So if you're talking about any kind of safety or some assurance in your investment, I think LaMelo Ball, because of that injury risk, long-term injury risk, is the play here. But yeah, it's a clean sweep. LaMelo Ball. I'm surprised. I thought it would have been a tougher fight.
Another sweep. It's not so easy, eh, guys? Picking a pair that challenges.
I know,
you
man. Got to think a little harder.
Don't worry, we'll do it again next week. All right, my pick one pair is I'm going to the NBA. Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers versus Jayson Tatum of the Boston Celtics. And I picked these two guys because obviously talent-wise, they have the hype behind them. You can't deny their talent. They're the respective number one players on their teams. And I also picked them because right now, at least, they both haven't won a championship. And there's questions of whether they can lead their team into a championship, with the current teams that they're on. So with taking the championship factor out of the equation, I'm wondering if that makes it harder for you guys to choose which player you would rather invest in.
For me, it was tough because I'm a huge Jayson Tatum fan. Like to me, I'm on Tatum already, but I think the better valued is Dame for sure. Like there's no doubt. Like I think Tatum's gonna have to do what he did this year for the next 5 years to now we're kind of talking in the same kind of breath as Dame, because he's been here, he's done it, and based on Lillard's prices, like it's it doesn't make sense, right? Like for me, it's like the value is on Dame's side over Tatum, but this was tough for me, but I'm gonna go Dame for sure.
Okay.
Oh, Hyung took my thoughts exactly. Like Hyung. We talk about it all the time. We're huge on Jayson Tatum. We think his card prices are super low. I think he's an incredible buy, and that alone should allow me to take Tatum. But this one really made me think. I'm gonna go with Dame here, and normally I would pick Tatum, but I'm gonna pick Dame, and I think number one, it's obviously the iconic 2012 Prism set. He's a part of that set. I think that's gonna be huge for any rookies in the future, and I think Dame in general. When you're starting to look at his body of work now, and I think we've seen it in multiple playoff performances, he just continues to kind of get disrespected by the league, by fans, by collectors in the sports card hobby. I don't think people put him in that same breath as, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, some of, Giannis, Luka, some of the bigger future superstar Hall of Famers. And I think Dame, if you look at, and myself included, I disrespected Dame all the time. But I can't ignore him anymore, man. You just look at him, and this guy is like steadily gonna go down, possibly in top 50 NBA, like just the stuff he's doing, and I can't disrespect him anymore. And I'm on on that train, man. I think this guy is at some point it's gonna flip, and people are gonna, towards the end of his career, people are gonna be like, man, this guy is one of the legends of the game, and we're gonna start like really going hard after his card. Collectors are gonna go after it. So for that reason, I'm gonna pick Dame. I think he's continually gotten disrespected in real basketball as well, not just the the fandom world. I think in real basketball, he continues to get disrespected by ESPN rankings and all that jazz. So I think at some point that's gonna flip, and Dame's gonna go down and start to have conversation about Hall of Fame and top 50 and All NBA. I'm going with Dame.
Okay, so 2 for Dame.
Yep.
It's not a clean sweep, guys. I'm going for Jayson Tatum, and I agree 100% with all your reasons why you're picking Dame. But the big thing for me, just to go off on what you closed with, Johnny, is that the disrespect is real, and I don't know if anything's going to end it. To tell you the truth, I don't know what more Dame has to do to have people start to say, hey, he's legit. So, and he's accomplished so much. Right. So I honestly don't know. Whereas Tatum, he's younger, right? So, and the talent is there. Like when I think the Celtics played the Raptors, our hometown team last year, I thought Tatum was overrated. I was staying away from his cards. And when I saw him play, like when he didn't miss anything, I'm like, holy smokes, this guy is for real.
He's the real deal, man.
Ridiculous. Like, and he's got the height, he's got the physique, and just could do whatever he wanted in that series in particular.
Exactly, it's the confidence.
So, just straight.
Yeah, that made me change my mind. That made me change my mind about Jayson Tatum. And now that I see his prices going down with the market a little bit, I think the value is tremendous. I think, and I like that he plays for the Celtics over Dame playing for the Trailblazers. Right. The Boston fans are unruly. The Boston fans are passionate, and Tatum goes beyond Celtics fans too, right? And it goes, a lot of people in the hobby are looking to collect Tatum. So I think the demand will always be there for him, and I think he has a better chance of winning a championship than Damian, or he'll win one before Damian if I'm going to bet. So yeah, Jayson Tatum.
Never know, man. You never know.
He's not.
What's the
trade?
What's the latest rumors?
Who knows, man?
Go ahead, John.
I don't know. There's just so much rumbling that he's going to get traded, or they're going to add a big piece. I don't really know what's what, but you just never know, man. But those are great points. I think definitely Hyung and I's pick of Dame comes with a lot more risk. Comes with an assumption that the market and general disrespect is going to turn. Jayson Tatum, on the other hand, is well liked. He's the highly desired. People know, they think he's, he's got that killer instinct. He's got the it factor. He's young. He's fun to watch. So he's got all of the above. So I think absolutely in your assessment, it's a safe play. His card value, I don't think could be any lower. So I don't think you're wrong. So ours is a riskier pick. Yours is a safer. I don't really think this is a tough one, man. I don't think there's a right or right or wrong here.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with both.
Good points, man.
I chose this too because some of our friends that we collect with, they were upset with our Keston Hira take, and I know they also collect Jayson Tatum, so they should feel better. I think. Hopefully, they feel better about what we're saying about investing in Tatum.
Oh man!
All right, that was fun.
Shout out to our boys.
Shout out to them for sure. All right, I like this new format of pick one. So
I like it.
So we'll do it again.
I'll make it a little tougher. Yeah, I'll make it a little tougher. Yeah, got the hang of it now.
Still made me think a bit about both your choices, but yeah.
I totally slipped my mind. You guys we're all from Toronto. Obviously, we're gonna pick Bichette because he plays for a hometown team. You can't disrespect the Buffalo Blue Jays like that. It's not even Toronto anymore. It's sad.
It's like Tony Fernandez. It's like Tony Fernandez versus Tatis. Tony all the way.
That's so true. For sure,
Fernandez is amazing. All right,
Fernandez, 100%. I love watching the '90s Jays. That was the era, man. We could probably do a whole episode on the '90s Jays, man.
100%.
It'll be a special episode. All right. That actually wraps up another episode of Cards to the Moon. Thanks so much to all our listeners, as always. And we appreciate if you guys follow or subscribe to our podcast and rate us as well. And thanks to you guys. I'll see you guys next week for another episode.
Thanks,
everyone.
Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.